Eruvin, Perek Gimel Mishnah Bet. In our Mishnah, we're going to continue to discuss the list of things that a person can, of food types that a person can use for his Eruv Chatzerot. And just to remind you, let me find it. Here we are, the chart. Remember, the idea that we're talking about is if a person wants to expand or move from, he can only move 2,000 amot for his Eruv Tchumin, it's called Eruv Tchumin. He wants to go 2,000 amot, he can only go 2,000 amot in each direction. So what he can do is, if he wants to go beyond 2,000, he can set his Shabbat. He can establish his Shabbat with an eruv, and that way he can go 4,000 amot to the place where he was shoved, and then he can move in the other direction. So our mission is going to continue to discuss what's in the basket. What kind of food can we use for this eruv tchumin? Ma'arvin b'dmai. Dmai, remember, is produce that you bought from an Amaretz. You know he took off truma, but you don't know if he took off meiser, truma, meiser, etc. So you're allowed to use dmai. We've seen this list that we're going to discuss now many times. We just saw it in Masechet Shabbat. So I'm not going to discuss each case in great detail. If you have Ma'aser Rishon and you took off of it Trumat Ma'aser, because when you take off Ma'aser Rishon, the 10% that goes to the Levi has to give Trumat Ma'aser to the 1/100th to the Kohen, 1/10 of that to the Kohen. If I have Ma'aser Sheni, that I have to take Yerushalayim, but I'm not going to make it there, so I redeem it. Same thing with Hegdish. I designate food as Hegdish or something as Hegdish, and then I redeem it. A Kohen can use Chala b'Chala or b'Truma. He can use Chala or Truma. And remember, we learned in the last Mishnah, let's go back there for a second, we talked about Yisrael b'Truma. It's a machloket whether a Yisrael can use Truma or not. So this would be according to the opinion that a Yisrael could not use Truma. Avalo b'Tevel, you can't use Tevel. Tevel is produce you just picked up the tree, where no Trumot and Masot were taken off, because that's not edible, that's not usable. You can't take off Trumot and Masot on Shabbat. Similarly, when you give it to the Levi, let's say the Levi didn't yet take off Trumat Maaser. He cannot use that produce for the eruv. Nor can you use Maaser Sheni and Hegdish that were not redeemed. Next, who can do it? If you send your eruv, meaning, let's go back to the original situation. I'm here in my city, and somebody's got to take the eruv, the food, and bring it over here. So I send it. If I send it in the hands of a chiresh shoteh v'katan, someone who's deaf, someone who's not mentally sound, or a minor, people that don't have dot. Oh, biyad misha eno modeh be'eruv, or let you give it to a tzduki who doesn't agree that there is such a thing as an eruv. These crazy rabbis, and he says he's going to do it, but whatever. You give it to the child, and he runs in that direction. Ain't no eruv. Even it's not considered an eruv. Because you don't know, even if they placed it there, you don't know if they placed it there l'shem eruv. It has to be placed 2,000 amot l'shem shvitat eruv in order to designate this is where I'm designating my focus, my central location on Shabbat, and that way I can move in each direction. So you have to do that. You have to know that it's done with dot. But you give it to the kid. You say, hey, Barry, do me a favor. Go receive it from him. Go take it from him so you can take it. Raise the eruv. Then it is an eruv. The Bar Tzurah says it is a machloket, but the Bar Tzurah says ubilvad shehu omed v're'eh b'shasha pasul noten liyad kasher. You have to see that the child or the katar or the cheresh shoteh gave it to the kasher, gave it to Barry. Even though you don't see the guy go do it, the chazakah shliach oseh shlichuto. You can assume that a messenger is going to do what he said he would do. So therefore, if I give it to someone who I don't know if they're going to do it properly, ain't no eruv. But if I tell that person, if I see that person, according to the Bar Tzurah, giving it to somebody else who's a bar dat, who I asked to go do it, harez eruv. That's considered an eruv in order to be able to go across the Tchum more than 2,000 amot. We'll stop here. As always, email me if you have any comments or questions, arspolter@gmail.com. I'm dedicated to learning from memory of my father, Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak.